And thus begins Season 2 in the life of Jim Hormone, my favorite creative player of all time. I appreciate you checking in again and watching another one of these episodes. Jim has survived Season 1, and now we move our creative player on to Season 2. If you are just starting and catching up, and you are just starting to watch on Season 2, what happens? Well, we made a guy, Jim Hormone. We created him, and he is now in the game. It's his second season in the NFL. We focus on him. I do not play defense in my games, and I try to run as much as possible. The way it works, when I get to the play calling screen, I ask coach. They give me 3 plays, and I choose from one of those 3. We try to force everything to Jim Hormone, the running back, number 26, when he is on the field. That's how it works. We're going to start this season off by progressing his stats. So he had a preseason. We simulated preseason. He might have got some experience there. He might have got some from the very end of last season. So we're going to kick things off by making sure he is at top form to kick off his second season in the league. Okay, this was a good choice because as you can see up there in the right corner of his non-existent picture, Jim has 13,000 points to spend. Now, the thing we could upgrade that would cost us the most right now would be his route running. We don't need to worry about that. He's not a wide receiver. Elusiveness, that intrigues me. That intrigues me a lot. Catching upgrade, don't need to worry about that. He's in the 80s as a running back. He did a great job catching the ball. Cover ball trait, he only fumbled 1 time last year. So I'm not really worried about that yet. Clutch trait, I love clutch. I love it. I don't really know what would happen if I used it, but I just love clutch. Kick return, I'm not worried about that. Consistency, I still don't know what that means. Toughness, he's in the 90s. That's good. His awareness, I'd love to get to 90 by the end of this season. So that's something we're going to get up there. But I'm going to go up because when we last upgraded him, I really wanted to upgrade his trucking to 80, and I miserably did it incorrectly. So we're going to get his trucking up to an 80 overall to start with. So now it'll be up to a 79. This will get it up into the 80s. And now we have some decisions to make because that's an 80. Ball carrier vision's there. We can get some stiff arm up. I'm going to keep moving the trucking up. I think I might use that a little bit this year. And to be fair, I didn't even have it to an 80. I think now it's at an 80. There we go. Now it's at an 80. So he's in the 80s there. He's got 8,000 left. I've been using the spin move a lot, but I mentioned I want to get his awareness to a 90 by the end of the season. Figure let's get that going early. I really do believe that the awareness is useful in the simulations. So it's at 88. We're going to get it to an 89 right now. And that is probably going to be the last thing we upgrade. So he's at an 89 right now. And the next progressed players will probably have enough 4,000 points to get him to that 90 and not worry about that anymore in the progression of him and start worrying about spin moves, stiff arm, and all of that stuff. So with the upgrades, you can see that Jim is now an 85 overall, and he's 2 points behind Darren Sproles for the best back on the team. We're going to get him there. We're going to get him to a 90 by the end of this season. Okay, you can see here in Madden 25 for the PS3, you have the option in Week 1 of your franchise to import draft class. I do not have a draft class to import. I played college football on the 360, not on the PlayStation, so I apologize. I have a ton of draft classes on that one that I could have brought in, but that's not happening. Plus, we don't really care about the other guys. This is simply focused on Jim Hormone. So let's get his season kicked off. Okay, the Saints start the season off as an 80 overall as a team. Jim Hormone, I believe it was an 85 overall after the progression. I did auto-progress the rest of the team, and I think Darren Sproles bumped up to like an 89, so he's now a deadly weapon. We will see what the starting lineup looks like for the Saints when we come out of this. I put Hormone as the starting back in the depth chart, but who knows what's happened in the preseason and then after that progressed players. So the Bucs were forced to punt, and now we kick off year 2 for Jim Hormone. We should have Michael Ruse over there on the left side now, former Eastern Eagle. We're going to run behind him and pick up nothing right off the bat. A bummer start to this season for Jim. Yeah, I expect huge runs every play.
You got to know if you look ugly.
Play call 2 goes to Jim as well. I hope they just feed him the ball all season long. I hope they let me carry 100 times with him. a game. There's a big run for Jim. Spin move, and he's up. Finally, it has been way too long since we've had a big run for Jim. It's been kind of a fun game so far because the different scenery. I felt like a lot of games in last season ended up just falling in New Orleans at the Superdome. So kind of nice to be outside at Raymond James Stadium. Run to the left, cut it back up, and Jim's going to have touchdown number 1 of his season. He's going to have touchdown 1 on his 3rd carry. That is the start we're looking for now the second-year pro.
Bring the pressure. Good blitz that time. They take the quarterback down.
So a weird set of events just happened. The Saints defense held, Tampa Bay punted, and then the first 2 play calls in this drive went with Darren Sproles. So Jim is on 3rd down and going to get the call and get the catch and get some yards. Not enough for the first down, though. A weird deal with 2 plays off for Jim. So Tampa Bay gets 3. They get the field goal, and it's the Saints offense back on the field. It's going to be a screen play to the right for Jim. He's going to get the ball, get a block. Can he get one more? He's upfield for some nice yards on that screen play, and the receiving game continues well, but he is down. Oh, no. He's down holding his head. What a way to end the first quarter. Okay, this is the moment of truth. I'm going to click this button right here, and we're going to find out what happened. I hate hitting the medical center button. Jim Hormone out for 2 weeks with a broken jaw, and just the unfortunate situations. Not as unfortunate apparently as Ben Grubb's out for the season with a torn tricep, but 2 weeks right off the bat gone for Jim Hormone. And this is like back-to-back videos where he just can't stay healthy and can't play in games. What a disappointing start to the season. All right, the Saints get the win, but they lose Jim Hormone for 2 weeks. I think it's going to be the next 2, which works out well in the schedule because the next 2 weeks are Sims. We play in 3, but it is a bummer to lose him for 2 weeks. When we're trying to get that 1,000 yards, we're trying to make him the man, and you are going to be short a couple weeks of playtime. Just a bummer way for Jim to go. They don't show the play of the game because there wasn't one, because we didn't play it. I simmed it all. Let's take a look at the stats. So for Jim, 3 carries, 50 yards, 1 touchdown. That's a great game to start off. Off 3 carries. He was on pace to just blow it open. Receiving, this is what killed him. 2 receptions, 29 yards, but one of those was a screenplay that will be remembered for being terrible to kick off his season. Broken jaw for Jim Hormone, and now we sit him on the bench for 2 weeks. Okay, so I went to things get worse for Jim as I went to the injury report after simulating week 1. And now it says he's out 4 weeks. So a terrible diagnosis apparently by the on-field trainer. Goes to a real doctor, and the real doctor asks Jim how his jaw's feeling, and Jim's like, and that apparently means you're out for 4 weeks. So it now gets real stupid for Jim Hormone's second season in the NFL. Thank you, Madden 25, for the PS3. I'm going to simulate up till week 4, and we'll see what happens. Week 4 was supposed to be the next game to play and start part, I think 6 it would be now. So as you can see here, without Jim Hormone, the Saints have now gone on a 2-game losing streak, both to divisional opponents. And it is a rough one because I looked at the stats, and neither of them had a good running game. Darren Sproles had right around 60 to 70 yards in both of those games. Coming up, it's at the Colts and against the Seahawks. Jim should be injured this week and this week. He'll have the bye week to recover and be back for the Titans game. So that is where part 6 will start, is against the Titans. I'm going to simulate both of these games right now, and we will see what happens. Okay, this is the injury report upgraded, and a weird thing, Jim Hormone is back, so this will be the return of him after a bye week. We're going to get to what happened in the 2 weeks that we simulated against the Colts and the Seahawks. Then there was the bye week, so we're going to be playing, I believe it's the Titans. Now, this did happen apparently over the break, or over the Sims. The guy we just signed in the offseason, Michael Ruse, left tackle, 94 overall, real excited to run behind him with Jim. He's out with a dislocated ankle for 4 weeks. The injury bug will not leave the Saints alone. Here's what happened the last 2 weeks of Jim's injury. He was injured 4 weeks. He was out against the Falcons, Panthers, Colts, and Seahawks. A win in Indianapolis against the Colts. And the Seahawks are on fire. I think they're 5-0, maybe 6-0 at this point. A loss to them, 31-20. I did not look at the stats yet to see what happened. What happened in each of those games with Darren Sproles. I really don't care. Jim will be back against the Titans. So, going forward, here's what the schedule looks like. It'll be a game at Tennessee against the Titans. A sim. The next game for Jim will be the Jaguars. A sim. We'll also play the Texans. A sim. And the Bears. So it'll be the Bears, the Texans, the Jags, and the Titans are the 4 games that will user play for Jim Hormone as we're trying to get him to 1,000 yards. Now missing the first 5 weeks or 5 games of the season. He was only in for half a quarter in the very first game. All right, it's going to be a grind. Thanks for tuning in again. Make sure to subscribe to this channel. You can also follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Sean Widmer. Follow me on Twitter at Sean T. Widmer, SEAN, Sean T. Widmer, or check everything out at seanslife.com. Thank you for watching.